about getting to the league instead of me thinking about playing with my dad. But that's like not my mindset right now at all. I'm just trying to put in the work and see where it takes me from there. I just want to, have people know my name is Bronny James and not being, identified as just LeBron James' son.
Don't talk to me about nepotism being something new. It's been here. Nobody said anything before. Shut the hell up now.
The pressure around Bronny James has reached a point where even his responses off the court carry more weight than moments on it. Before he has fully settled into a stable NBA role, before he has even been given a consistent rhythm in rotation, the conversation around him has already moved beyond development. It is now about legitimacy, opportunity, and the word that follows him everywhere, nepotism. And now that he has finally addressed those claims directly, the reaction has only split the fan base even more sharply. This situation did not start overnight. It has been building since the moment Bronny became a national talking point because of his father, LeBron James. From that point forward, every step of his career has been evaluated through a double lens. One lens is performance, the other is legacy. That combination means he is never just evaluated as a rookie. He is evaluated as a continuation of a storyline that started long before he entered the league. The moment Bronny responded to the nepotism narrative, he did not deny the context around his name. Instead, he acknowledged the criticism and tried to separate perception from his daily reality. He spoke about his work, his mindset, and the challenge of developing under constant scrutiny. But in today's NBA environment, even a grounded response like that does not settle debate. It actually amplifies it because everyone interprets it differently depending on what they already believe.
Only a great teammate. Guys love playing with him, and it says so much about how he was raised, how he sees the game, what he learned from not just his father, being around the NBA game.
And this is where the tension really builds. Some fans heard maturity in his response. Others heard privilege trying to defend itself. That divide is not just about Bronny as a player. It reflects a larger disagreement about how opportunity works in modern sports. The league has always had connections, family ties, and legacy pathways, but never before have those pathways been so visible, so public, and so heavily debated in real time. What makes this even more complicated is that Bronny is not the only young athlete dealing with this kind of pressure. Across sports, similar conversations are happening. In football, Shedeur Sanders is dealing with a similar spotlight in Cleveland, where every rep and every decision is immediately tied to expectation and family legacy. Different sport, same kind of scrutiny, where identity has to be built while constantly being compared to a larger name.
Say something right now that people aren't going to like. Every one of you wish. I lay in bed at night sometimes still at 41 years old going, if my parents could have just done it differently and set themselves up differently, I too could have been a Nepo baby.
At the core of Bronny's message was a simple idea. He knows the noise exists, but he is focused on his process rather than public opinion. He emphasized development, repetition, and staying locked in on improvement instead of reacting to outside criticism. That sounds simple on paper, but in reality, it's extremely difficult when every mistake becomes a headline and every success gets dissected for context. Here's where it gets even more layered. Because the nepotism debate isn't really about one quote or one player, it's about how people define fairness in professional sports. For some fans, fairness means every player starts from the same point and earns everything without external influence. For others, fairness means recognizing that sports have always included relationships, scouting networks, and legacy pathways that shape opportunity in different ways. The Lakers situation intensifies that debate. Every decision involving Bronny is magnified because of his father's presence on the roster. Even if the organization treats him like any other young player, the outside perception is already locked in. That perception is powerful enough to turn normal developmental decisions into global talking points. A rotation change becomes a debate. A missed shot becomes evidence for critics. A good game becomes a test of skepticism.
To make, and we understand that. But now that you're in the NBA and you're on this level, you shouldn't want to be out there until you're ready. And so it's one of those situations where you take them under your wing and you expose them to whatever developmental program Pelinka and JJ Redick and all of those guys are going to have in store, and you do it that way. Plus, like you said.
And this is where young players usually make a mistake. They start trying to play against the narrative instead of playing within the system. Instead of focusing on reads, spacing, and timing, they begin to feel like every possession is a referendum on their legitimacy. Bronny's response suggested he is aware of that trap and is trying to stay focused on long-term growth instead of short-term validation. This is where it gets even more dangerous, because once a player is labeled through the lens of nepotism, neutrality disappears. People stop evaluating development objectively. Every performance gets filtered through bias. If he plays well, critics say it's expected because of opportunity. If he struggles, critics say he doesn't belong. That kind of environment creates a constant pressure loop that very few young athletes have to deal with at this scale.
But to say that I would not have appreciated some additional help, some doors to be opened at the beginning of my career when I was trying to find my footing, to say I couldn't have used a little bit of a pull up or a help up or a step up.
Yeah.
We all want and need those things. It's just that most of us don't have the benefit.
What often gets lost in the debate is how much visibility Bronny has carried long before reaching the NBA. His high school games were nationally broadcast events. His college moments were instantly viral. Even his health recovery journey became public discussion. So by the time he entered the league, the narrative was already fully built. He did not step into the NBA quietly. He stepped into it with a storyline already attached to his name. That is similar to what is happening in Cleveland with Shedeur Sanders, where every practice rep carries meaning beyond the actual football evaluation. In both cases, young athletes are not just competing for roster spots, they're competing against the perception that was created before they even fully arrived at the professional level. The reaction to Bronny's comments also reflects a deeper cultural shift in sports media. Everything is immediate now. Every quote becomes content. Every answer becomes a talking point. There is very little space for a player to explain themselves without that explanation becoming part of a larger argument. That is why even honest responses can divide audiences so sharply. Inside the Lakers organization, the focus is more controlled, but the pressure still exists. Coaches and teammates are aware of the attention surrounding Bronny, and that inevitably affects how every developmental decision is viewed externally. Even when the intention is purely basketball-focused, the interpretation is often narrative-driven. LeBron's presence in this situation cannot be separated from the conversation. His impact on the league, his leadership status, and his long career all contribute to why Bronny's path is under such intense scrutiny. Even without direct influence, the perception of influence is enough to shape public opinion. That is part of the reality Bronny has to live with every time he steps on the court. The most important part of his response was not defense, but mindset. He did not try to argue that criticism would disappear. He accepted that it exists and focused on how he plans to operate within it. That includes staying consistent, improving daily, and not allowing external narratives to dictate his approach. Whether people believe that or not, it is a necessary survival skill in his position. The fan base divide will not disappear anytime soon. One side believes Bronny is being unfairly targeted for something outside his control and should be evaluated like any other young guard developing in the league. The other side believes the opportunity itself is part of the evaluation and cannot be separated from performance. Both perspectives are deeply rooted in how people view fairness in professional sports. The reality is that both things are true in different ways. Bronny has earned his place through a combination of development, opportunity, and organizational belief. At the same time, his path is undeniably shaped by legacy in a way that makes perception unavoidable. That combination is what creates constant debate around every moment of his career. As the season progresses, that debate will only grow louder. Every minute he plays will be analyzed, every rotation decision will be discussed, and every performance will be placed into a larger conversation about whether he truly belongs at this level. That is the environment he's stepping into, whether he wants it or not. And that brings everything to the core question fans are still arguing about. Is Bronny James being fairly evaluated as a young NBA player, or is he being judged through a lens that no rookie, regardless of talent, could ever fully escape? Because as long as that question remains unanswered, every game he plays will not just be about development, it will be about proving something the league has not yet agreed on.